This is a sequence I call healthy hands. We'll start by rubbing the hands together. Okay, just wanting to start to stimulate the circulation. You'll want to do this for about 30 to 60 seconds. I'll shorten it a little just for this tutorial. And once we've rubbed the hands together, then we'll begin to flick water is what it looks like, feels like with the fingers. And you convert that into just general wiggling through the fingers and kind of shaking your hands if that feels fine. And then we'll start to do some pumping action. Okay, so we'll be squeezing the wrists and each finger and thumb. So with one hand, just take hold of the opposite wrist, give it a nice little squeeze, and then release. Squeeze and release. Do this about anywhere 5 to 10 times in each position here. It's working on grip strength on the hand that's doing the squeezing. And then on the receiving hand, it's flushing out the joint that's being squeezed. So after the wrist, we do the thumb. Doesn't matter which order you go in. But we do want to take time to completely squeeze and completely release in between each squeeze. And we're doing each finger individually. You might want to take your rings off before you do this one, or it could get a little uncomfortable. You do both hands here. So I'm going to start my other wrist. And the thumb. And each finger. You will notice as you do this more, your grip strength will improve in your hands. And hopefully the fingers will become a little more mobile and just move a little more freely. Now let's bring the palms to touch, kind of at that heart center. And trying to keep the base of the palms touching as much as possible. We lower the palms down any amount. And then when you've reached your max, just release back up a few inches so that it's more comfortable. And then pump the arms down again. Just going back and forth, gently working on some wrist flexion here. And then it gets just a little trickier here as we work on this wrist flexion. We're going to open up the palms so that the thumbs stay touching, but the palms are facing away. And then rotate your hands so that the backs of your hands start to touch while your fingertips point first away and then down and then towards you and back up, returning palm to palm in this prayer type pose. And do that a couple more times. We try to keep the elbows as low as they are able to stay. But of course, at the beginning, you may need to lift your elbows quite high to make this happen. But eventually you can let the elbows stay a little lower. All right, let's change the direction. So now the palms face us first. Fingers point in and then down, out, away, and back up. Twice more this direction. When the palms come touching once more, we'll move into finger push-ups. So pressing your fingertips together, let your palms come far apart. And you just basically do little push-ups here, like spider push-ups, they're also called. So here we're working on finger strength. Now let's let the fingers interlace. And we'll start to do a little massage of the webbing in between the fingers. So we'll be pressing the hands towards each other, not the palms, but pressing the finger webbing towards each other, and just wiggle the fingers, wiggle the hands so that you feel that, you just feel that little massage in between the fingers, trying to loosen up some of the stickiness that can be trapped there. And then we'll do the same thing for the webbing in between that first finger and the thumb. So just place that area against each other and just start wiggling. Right. And now let's place, we'll place one fingertip to the thumb while the other fingers try to stay extended. Okay, so and we can do both hands at the same time here. So we can do the index finger pressing in while the other three fingers try to stay out straight. And then the middle finger and the ring finger and the pinky finger. And we'll do that a couple of more times on each finger. This is great for finger strength, but it's also good for just engaging the neuromuscular system here, because your brain does have to think while you're doing this. Maybe one last time through. Now this next one we'll have to do one hand at a time. It's another one that engages the neuromuscular system as well as creating flexibility here. So put your pinky finger and your thumb together. So they're going to hold onto each other. And then we will manually stretch one finger at a time. So pulling the index finger down, gently, of course, and release, and then pull just the middle finger down. So we're trying to isolate each finger here. And then the ring finger. And then all four fingers. And then your thumb. And we switch hands. Okay, so the pinky finger is going to stay with the thumb to start. And then we will peel away the index finger. And then the middle finger. The ring finger. Oh, that one's really hard for me to isolate, which means this is really good for me. Okay, now all four fingers. And then the thumb. And we'll finish off with a total hand, wrist, and forearm stretch, because we don't want to leave the forearm out of the picture here. So let's start with one palm up. Take hold of the first two fingers, the peace fingers, begin to peel them back so you feel the fingers stretching. Keep peeling so you feel the palm stretching and the wrist. And then extend your arms straight, shoulder height if you can, and you'll feel this fairly intense stretch throughout your forearm. Maybe take a breath here. And then let your arm bend. Slowly reverse that direction. And then we'll take hold of the other two fingers. So your ring and pinky finger, peel them back. Peel the palm open, feel the wrist bend, straighten that arm shoulder height. Take a breath here. And then let the arm bend, slowly reversing the motion. And then we go to the other hand. Okay, so palm up. We'll take hold of the first two fingers, peel them down, stretch the palm, stretch the wrist, stretch that forearm. Pause here, taking a breath in this full extension. And then let the arm release, the hand, the fingers release. Take hold of the ring and pinky finger. Peel them back. Feel the palm stretching, the wrist and the forearm. Pause for a breath here. And then release. One final time, just let your hands shake, move, wiggle. Kind of maybe feel the fruits of your labor here. And then set your hands on your lap. Let your eyes close and just notice the sensations that you're feeling in your hands.